will not only have to be re-educated to the importance of supporting black business, but the black man himself has to be made aware of the importance of going into business. And once you and I go into business, we own and operate at least the businesses in our community. What we will be doing is developing a situation wherein we will actually be able to create employment for the people in the community. And once you can create some employment in the community where you live, it will eliminate the necessity of you and me having to act ignorantly and disgracefully boycotting and picketing someplace else trying to beg him for a job.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Federation of African Canadian Economics. FACE is an historical movement co-founded by Black Canadian visionaries empowering generational wealth creation while fostering Black change makers. If you are Black entrepreneurs or know one that could use an affordable loan of up to $250,000, this is the movement for you. I would like to welcome all our listeners to TOC Podcast. TOC stands for The Other Canada Podcast. Yes, the show that is anchored in the undeniable fact that Canada's historical and current lens is homogenous at best and filled with gaps that we aim to bridge. It's the space where we courageously explore BIPOC voices like you've never heard them before. At TOC Podcast, we pride ourselves in presenting to you Black, Brown, Indigenous, and non-BIPOC individuals that have decided to move from allies to accomplices. Yes. Today's episode is Black Women Entrepreneurship and Intrapreneurship, navigating the system that far too often ostracizes us. I'm your host, Thierry Lindor. Some of you might know me as an entrepreneur and active citizen, but that pales in comparison to today's guest. Our first guest is actually the first employee ever in the history of FACE. Her name is Keshia Aristide. Yup, Aristide.
Yes.
And she is the executive manager for everything that has to do with admin. Keshia actually is the backbone of FACE. If you don't know, now you know. And the next guest, which I'm super excited also to present to you, is none other than Abisara. Abby, if you live in Montreal, chances are you know who she is because she created amazing brands called INHairITANCE. And we're about to talk about all that good stuff. But before we do this, let's go right into our jingle. Ladies and gentlemen, needless to say, we're going to have an amazing podcast. Beautiful people. Bring the volume up. If you're at work, stop working. If you're at the gym, make sure you can listen. Pump up the volume. We're disrupting the status quo in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey-oh!
Africa wasn't afforded some of the same services.
Rosie, a Sir George graduate on a master's in McGill, helps organize a computer-centered city.
I can announce that the Government of Canada, in partnership with Canadian banks, is investing nearly $221 million to launch Canada's first ever Black Entrepreneurship program.
All right. So, ladies, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes,
my pleasure.
We're going to go in our 6 questions in 60 seconds. We're going to start with Abisara.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you 6 questions. If you don't feel comfortable, you're allowed to skip. You just say skip. Worst case scenario, we'll ask you a second one, all right? So what has the pandemic taught you?
How to define life quality for myself.
Amazing, amazing. Malcolm X or MLK?
Malcolm X.
Angela Davis or Viola Desmond?
Both.
Hey! Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Rap or reggae?
Reggae.
What is your cultural background?
I'm Austrian-Ivorian.
Yes. Are you single or in a couple?
In a couple.
Hey! All right. Next up, Keshia.
Yes.
Same questions.
Same questions? Okay.
Different queen. What has the pandemic taught you?
Taught me how to slow down and take time to enjoy life.
Love that. Malcolm X or MLK?
Malcolm X.
Hey, fist up, fist up. Angie Davis or Rosa Parks?
Rosa Parks.
Okay.
The silent strength.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Okay.
Definitely. Black.
Kids or no kids?
Kids.
And this next question, I'm asking both of you. I'm going to get back to that one, actually. What is the best part about being a black woman?
Oh, my. Everything. Well, we are considered as the underdogs because to society you have the wrong gender and the wrong color, and it's the total opposite.
Hey, and what is the most challenging part of being a black woman?
Oh, we constantly have to prove ourselves. Constantly.
Hey. And if you were a car, what car would you be?
A G-Class Mercedes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to Abby. Best part about being a black woman?
Our collective memory of our resilience, royalty, and strength.
Ooh, geez, that's gonna make it sound bites. Most challenging part about being a black woman?
Other people.
Ooh, that's gonna make the sound bites as well. Awesome. So let's jump right into it. According to a lot of studies in the United States of America, black women are actually the fastest growing part of the American economy. Unfortunately, once again, in Canada, we don't collect that data. Boo. But it's about to change. I would like to ask both of you, because today we're talking about entrepreneurship. We have an amazing one on my right, and we talk about intrapreneurship, because we also have an amazing entrepreneur to my left. What has been your biggest challenge? We'll start with Abby once again. In the entrepreneurial sector, as an entrepreneur starting your own business, what has been the biggest challenge as a black woman?
Being constantly underestimated and not taken seriously, not having access to capital and to be able to scale your business, being confronted with massive stereotypes that you have to constantly deal with, and access to knowledge from a black female gaze. Hey. So what does entrepreneurship mean when we talk about black female leadership?
So good, so good. And for the people that might not know, because I talked about INHairITANCE, but I talked about it fast. What is INHairITANCE? INHairITANCE
is a safe space, a hair salon, a curl spa dedicated to only natural hair. So it's all about, you got it, all about embracing that transition, embracing the journey on becoming natural, giving you the practical know-how, the tools, the resources, the products to take care of your crown, but also understanding and giving space to all of those dialogues that we have with ourselves. What is beauty? How do I consider myself? What do I have to fight against when I go to a job interview? Do I rather rock my straight hair? Why? So to really give space to all of those questions and be able to come to the conclusion that we have the right of diversity, the right of being naturally beautiful, and to the resources that come with it.
Yes, love this. My daughter goes to INHairITANCE, all right? So I'm a big fan of the brand itself. You guys have 1, 2 locations now, 3?
No. We have one location, main location. We did diversify a lot because of COVID, and we have a franchise in Martinique.
Beautiful. So Martinique it is. Once we deconfine, we're heading to Martinique all day. And I love the segue because she talked about being able to be ourselves. And me and you talked off air. You've been an entrepreneur for a while.
Yes.
What has been the biggest challenge as a young black professional woman in the entrepreneurial space, navigating, spaces that are occupied by, let's face it, non-BIPOC people often?
Yeah, I think it's the imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, yeah.
When you feel like you know a lot, you have a lot to offer, but when it comes to showing out, you're a little scared, or what are they going to say? Am I coming off too strong? Because yes, black women, we have attitude. We do have attitude. We come off strong, but that's who we are.
I think you have character, not attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Character. That's all right. We have character. We come off bold, strong, prepared.
As you should.
And sometimes when you in a position where there's no people of the community, you tend to hide yourself a little, tone it down a little, to not be seen as a person who has attitude and a strong character. And it's really the imposter syndrome. I feel like I wasn't myself. And, we're talking to each other now in the podcast. I feel like I can talk the way I want to.
Because
Anglais,
exactly.
we can laugh. I can be myself.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Because for the people listening to us, you are the first employee ever in the history of the Federation of African Canadian Economics. And as the manager of the entire administrative process at FACE, you used to work in a non-black environment.
Yes.
What has been the biggest difference from before to now? Like, because you touch about you're able to be yourself.
Yeah,
but
I have been working with people who are not in my community.
White people.
And the difference is night and day. night and day. I was talking to Tiffany. I think we had
that joke. You got to say that joke on the podcast.
That joke. And, you know, when I started it, I had a wig, and my wig was straight, and my hair was there. And then I ordered another wig. I wanted it to have my 24-inch, my Pocahontas hair. I changed my wig in the middle of the week.
While at Face?
At Face, right? And we're working Zoom, and then wake up in the morning, and Tiffany saw me, my CEO, and I realized that she didn't even mention anything. She didn't comment on my hair. She didn't ask me, have you changed your hair? Nothing. And I was like, whoa, this is different, you know? People not touching your hair. Was this your real hair? How come they are grown so fast? And I felt like, wow, I can be me, myself. People are not judging, asking crazy questions. And this is when I'm like, okay, wow, this is home. I feel like home. And we have that joke when we say we go to bed with our Wakanda sleep. In our Wakanda sleep. It's amazing.
I'm going to ask you another question I think is very important. There's a big disparity in black wealth versus white wealth per household. Once again, it's very documented in the United States, a lot less over here in Canada. Face aims to change that. What do you think has been the biggest contributor to the disparity between wealth, in your own opinion?
Well, I don't think it's only wealth as in money. I think it's also access to knowledge. Yeah. One of the things I definitely faced as an entrepreneur, not having other entrepreneurs in my family. We don't, and we most often don't. Yeah, and the first one.
Wow.
Like it's been generations, you know, before.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
It's not having that access to knowledge of like capital, you know? And I think that's a huge part that we underestimate.
Yeah,
because it plays a big role in yours. In like your security and your confidence, in having a safety net, obviously, to try things and be able to fail. You're allowed to not only, not only succeed. So those are all the things that make you a much more timid to actually dare to become an entrepreneur. Exactly. And definitely, I think is one of the
that is so gold.
Key factors of why we're not there.
That's so true because we tend to define wealth as financial only, but wealth is knowledge as well, and knowledge actually can help you be financially stable, right? It doesn't have to be just finance. I love what you said on. That's an excellent point. In your opinion, Keshia, what is what could be one of the reasons why there is such a disparity between wealth for non-BIPOC communities and black people specifically?
Well, I believe also is accessibility.
Accessibility,
Yes, accessibility. We don't have the same resources that are offered to us. Yeah. You know, I think the resources are hidden from us. And we have to dig and dig and dig. It's different. And then we become discouraged because you have to search, you have to dig, you have to learn. But they come in a place where everything is lended to them, you know? Yeah. And then we have to search, and then we be like she said, it's hard for us to actually, you know, we wake up and we have generational traumas. We are scared. We are extremely scared. So we are scared to put our foot out there and go and dig for the gold.
Excellent. We recently saw, we're in Quebec right now, shooting in Quebec, and this is there was a situation in Quebec where there was a lot of femicides, back to back, literally, in a span of a couple of weeks, and I don't think they've stopped ever since. What is the role of men in supporting black women in the entrepreneurial ecosystem? Or do they even have a role in this support? Of course they do,
absolutely. And I think those are great questions to ask. How do we define that role? Because I think it's something that is not predefined.
Correct.
We come from a very patriarchal, and we still are in a very patriarchal society, and a white supremacist patriarchal society. So now for black women being the entrepreneurs and sometimes the household winners, so the providers of the household, we're talking about creating complete new rules, renegotiating our role system. And what you said before, I thought was so interesting about black women having attitude, but many times I think it's not us as black women, but the women we are when we are leaders. Yeah. We are leaders, and we...
Well, tell me you forgot that one. You're going to have to repeat that one exactly.
Absolutely. Like when we talk about leaders in a community, they tend to be alpha.
Yeah.
So I can definitely say I'm an alpha woman in many, many aspects. So that means I had to navigate white supremacist and male spaces to still be heard. We all come, you know, we most of us didn't just start in our own little bubble that is black and powerful, but we were trained through a white supremacist society and places. So all of the survival skills that we have are very much impacted by that system. So when we talk about renegotiating, men have a crucial role to play, and I think it's about time to get into a discussion about how can we support each other. Because it doesn't mean that we cannot support them. I think it's really about renegotiating terms, and they can have different faces. They can have different ways, and to create and expand our visions of how that could look like.
Love that. That's a good point. You touched about alpha, and that's a great segue to intrapreneurship. Because in intrapreneurship, for those of you who don't know, intrapreneurship is the opposite of entrepreneurship, commonly used to be referred as professionals. The term intrapreneurship also means people that have the ability to move up within the professional context of corporate Canada. Speaking of alpha, what advice would you give to somebody listening right now, young black woman or young black man as well, listening to this conversation, when you are dealing with an overtly alpha, non-black, let's say, leader, a boss, that maybe doesn't recognize you? I'm sure you've been through it, you've lived it. What advice would you give to somebody listening to us right now that is potentially has alpha potential, but seems like they feel overpowered in their day-to-day 9 to 5?
Well, the advice that I would give is to never lose sight of what is the goal that you want to accomplish. Because when people are trying to overpower you, it's because they believe in your power and they want to tone it down.
Say that part right there again.
Right there, okay. When a person is trying to overpower you, it's because they believe in your power. And the advice that I would give is to work on yourself and to believe in yourself and to have confidence to understand that you do have this power. And if people are scared of you, it's because you have it in you. Work on yourself, build your confidence, learn, never stop learning. Never stop learning, educate yourself. And then one day, I don't know, go for another company that will respect. No, definitely. Definitely. I'm not the one who's going to stay in the job because, it pays the bills. No, I believe in self-care. You learn what you have to learn. And myself, I did it. In the other company that I was, this is what I did. I've learned, I've absorbed as much as I could. And then now I'm taking my talent to face.
That's going to make the sound nice. But I like what you said. Alpha, oppressors within the corporate structure won't attack a powerless person.
Definitely.
They're going to try to overpower a powerful person.
Definitely.
That is so gold. I love this. This is good.
Definitely.
This is good. On to the next segment. But before we do, I have to remind y'all that this episode is brought to you by the Federation of African Canadian Economics. FACE. FACE is basically, literally, the movement that was selected by the Canadian federal government. Justin Trudeau's administration selected them to oversee and manage $221 million announced back in September of 2020. This is an historical announcement, and the team has been put together to make sure that it drives and trickles down to entrepreneurs in the community. Speaking of which, great segue. Do you plan, Abisara, to apply for the $250,000, up to $250,000 loan? Would you right now, as the owner and founder of an amazing, I call it a courageous space. I don't even like the term safe space. I think it's a courageous space to be literally you, yourself. And hair is such a big part of somebody's personality. Do you think that access to such capital is something that you might want to take advantage of?
Absolutely. I think when you're looking for outside investment, you have to have a very clear plan and you have to really know how you're going to scale your business. So I would definitely make sure, and I'm in that process of making sure where that money goes strategically, because it's great to have access. We've been fighting for it so long and we deserve that access. And then it's even more important to look into what that capital can mean for us.
Voila.
How can I triple that capital, right?
Yep.
I love this. So you're ultimately saying to our audience, it's one thing to get the money, but then it's another thing to maximize it and maybe flip it and duplicate it.
Absolutely. We don't want to end up with only Black businesses being indebted, right? That's not the aim of this. The aim is to have access to capital that make us grow. So again, we're talking about educational wealth. We're talking about access to knowledge, to masterminds, for entrepreneurs to come together. How can I scale my business in the best and most effective way so that capital can serve for creating jobs and really tripling, quadrupling, and making your money, maximizing your money in every way possible.
I could hear people clapping in their cars driving right now.
Yes, definitely.
Or at the gym saying, yes. So I imagine you're on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Okay. And would you say your LinkedIn is as nourished and maintained as your Instagram and Facebook?
Not at all. Not at all. Why? Because I have people who take care of my Facebook and my Insta, and LinkedIn I'm kind of alone. So
here's what I'll add to this, because I'm hearing what Abby's saying, and she's dropping so many gems for all entrepreneurs, not just women entrepreneur. Make sure your LinkedIn is really up to par. Because one thing I'll tell you, when Keshia decided to leave, and then she jumped on the next opportunity, people go check out your LinkedIn. When Abby's gonna get that, sorry, I keep calling you Abby.
It's okay.
Oh my God.
I'm all right
because
with
I
that.
know her. So when Abisara decided to go after that money, she just dropped a major gem by saying, now I gotta know where that money goes, because I have to flip it, I have to make sure. But even once you know where the money goes, it's another thing to make sure that you are digitally on the right platform. The way I explain it sometimes to people when I mentor them is Facebook is a bit of everything. Twitter is what you're thinking. Instagram is what you see. So obviously if you're in your product space, Instagram is massive. But guess what? LinkedIn is where the business is happening. LinkedIn is where you're going to get that major distributor that's going to cut you an amazing discount because they love your LinkedIn brand. So I would definitely invite anybody listening to this, make sure your business plan is up to point, obviously. Make sure your financial statements, like any loan, because if you're going after a loan, these are the things you need at the bank, right? Now, this is going to be managed and adjudicated by Black people, for Black people, but we can't control your LinkedIn. We can't control your brand presence online. Speaking of brand presence, that's a segue for you, Keshia. What's your position on LinkedIn, being that you actually know social media very well?
I do.
Me and you have exchanged a couple of times on the subject.
I do.
What would you give as an advice for intrapreneurs trying to go up, once again, climbing the ladder until they might start their own business like Abby did? What advice would you give for somebody, digitally speaking, regarding their brand?
Their brand. Well, you have to brand yourself. You definitely have to put yourself out there. You know, sometimes we have a way to think, okay, I'm going to wait until my business is there and this, and then I'm going to put myself out there. No, absolutely not. You are a brand. I am a brand. Even if I don't have a business, I am Keshia. I am a brand. Brand yourself, put yourself out there. Actually, take the time to narrow your niche, to know who is your customer. You want to know who is your audience. You want to speak to your audience. You want to engage. You want to learn about the algorithm of social media. You need to educate yourself. Yeah. And do not wait for your business to blow up, because it will not blow up if you're not on social media. We are in 2021. Social media is the brand. Yeah. It's the brand. You don't even need a website. Yeah. You don't even need a website. You have an Instagram page, like you just said. Now we're talking about LinkedIn. You want to be on Twitter. Choose your social media platform. Don't go on every single one of them, but brand yourself and be consistent. Consistency is the key to success. You want to keep going every day and doing the same thing, and then one day you're going to look back and be like, wow. It paid off. It actually paid off. And
I could attest to what she's saying, because I've been consistent on social media for a while. Actually, I think me and you, Abby was like, Terry, I need, we used to talk about, I've been consistent for at least a good 10 years, and I see the dividends now. I'm actually seeing it. So it took time. You have to plant that seed. And I like what you said. Even if you're an intrapreneur, listen to me carefully. Chances are there's limitations to what you can do. But I'll tell you what's going to happen if you take the time to brand yourself. Even if you work at RBC, Deloitte, or in corporate Canada, when you take the time to brand yourself, eventually HR is going to call you. They're going to say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing, but, right? And they're going to give you a warning. that's the sign that you're actually doing the right job. And that's the sign that you might want to switch and go to another company that's going to appreciate the value you're bringing to your audience. And here's what I'm going to tell you, because I'm talking from lived experience. When your brand is on point, when you add INC to your family name, whether you're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, when you get to the next company, they're going to go check your LinkedIn. And if they like your LinkedIn and they like what you're putting out there, chances are your job offering and your salary is going to be slightly higher. And I could speak from experience for friends of mine. I'm talking about like $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 higher from just me telling them, regardless of being in business for yourself or not, make sure that you brand yourself. So I love that advice that you gave. But we're going to go in the next segment, which is the tips from entrepreneurs regarding distribution. You are in a space where people come and it's a hair salon, but it's also a space where women and do men come as well?
Absolutely,
there
and kids.
Kids, yes. Yeah, my daughter goes there. Exactly. So you are in a space where you deal with distributors. What advice would you give to somebody listening right now, concretely speaking, right? When it comes to distributors, because we know distributors don't always look like us either, right?
Right.
But you have something specific, because I think most of your distributors are
all black. So exactly. So I have about 90%.
I wanted her to say it.
No, it's true. My suppliers, I mean, we became a distributor actually in that whole course.
Wow.
And I can honestly say from personal experience, the emphasis that we have put on products, because hair salons have really been hit very hard 2021.
Big time.
Okay? We've been closed for half of the year practically.
Yeah. Wow.
And we were still able to be profitable. The only reason is because we had 50% of retail services.
True.
So we did not only concentrate on
front-facing clients.
Exactly, but also products. So when the pandemic happened, we were able to switch online.
You pivoted.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we started giving consultations online. We were there for our customers and we were able to serve them through Zoom calls for free, you know. Which product do you need? How can you take care of your hair at home?
Love it. Wow.
And the big difference in that, I mean, this is really the reason why we're still here. I can completely say that.
Wow.
Because otherwise, how do you cope if you're not like I had 21 employees, right? So I don't know how you actually manage. But with those products in mind, meaning I have the opportunity to also support about 21 other black families that are supplying to me. So this is the triple effect that I was always looking for, and where you feel like, ooh, whatever I do, it does have an impact, you know? You taking care of your hair actually feeds other people in Toronto, in Vancouver, in Quebec City, in Montreal, pays mortgages, puts food on people's table.
Correct.
Right? And that's the part about distributing that is so important, where I think also your ethics play into, like, what your values, let's put it like that, your values play into the whole game that you set up. We do have 2 white brands. The rest is black and mostly women and family owned. And why? Because we believe in creating black wealth. I want to give that person that enters my store, the Curl Spa, the opportunity to support with every dollar that they invest in us, other black businesses. And I think that's really important for Black Canada to keep that in mind, that our dollar counts. We have power. And only when I understand that purchasing power will have a ripple effect, I actually understand my power.
That's it. Yeah. And it's a vote. When you vote, you could vote every 4 years, like I said, at the ballot, but you could also vote every day with your dollar. Not that one negates the other, but voting every day with your dollar that's golden. I love this. So I love the pivot. We're going to get to that pivot afterwards, because I think a lot of people got a lot of massive value from that. Because you could have stayed, most people, I think, in the hair space, they just do one thing. You decided to pivot. So we're going to get back to that one.
Sure.
What advice, Keshia, on your side for people that might have been laid off? Right?
Okay.
And let's talk about this, because you weren't laid off, but you decided to pivot, speaking of pivot, during a pandemic, and go from a massively successful position at a without naming the company, very steady organization, and now you decided to say, hey, I'm going after... and there was a big brand chasing you too. We're not going to name the company.
Yes.
But they called you and then you told them, no, I'm good.
No, I'm straight. I'm good.
What advice would you give for people in order to pivot in the professional space during a pandemic?
During a pandemic. That's a good question.
So how did you go about it?
How did I go?
Yeah.
Well, my situation was a bit different because I was on maternity leave.
Yeah.
So I had the time to actually learn about what I was going to do.
But you made the time. Because
I
everybody's
did.
got the time. But
I
some
did.
people don't make the time.
I make the time because I believe in developing yourself. I believe in self-development 100%. 100%. There's never... You can learn every day. And you learn consistently. And then when I had the job interview for FACE, I remember I went and I studied. Like it was a test.
Oh, talk that talk. What do you mean by study?
I studied. I went on the internet and learned about, okay, what is a job interview? What question they might ask you? How do you answer the question? How do you present yourself?
Who are the people behind?
Exactly. Who are the people? Learn about the company. Do you really want to work for this company? Because the company can look really good on paper. They can look really good on social media, but learn about the values of the company. Do they match yours? And do you really want to work with these people? Use research. Never start researching. Like, life is in books. You want to read. You want to read. You want to learn. And this is what I did. I took the time to search.
Yes.
And to learn like it was a school test.
That's it.
And then to be honest, I aced my interview. I believe I
could concur.
I think I aced my interview, but because I took the time. Take the time. If you want something, you take the time to master it.
Such a good point. And
I love that.
And to that point, when you want something, you take the time to master. That's such a she murdered it. When I say murdered it, like I think there was like 4 or 5 people, and I was like, we're done. Like this is the person. And us co-founders, myself, Tiffany Callender, Louis Edgar. I remember when we're like, oh, we found a person. Yeah, we found. And I was like, oh, really? And they were like, tell me. Then they broke it down, how it happened. And I was like, exciting. I was actually excited to meet you. And then when I met you, I got it. I was like, okay, that's why. And I can't lie. I went on your LinkedIn. And
you did?
Of course.
No.
I went to look. I was like, I hadn't met you yet. I went down. Everything looked the part. Because we poured our blood, sweat, and tears in this. In a process of seeing black and brown bodies dying. In the process of being busy, forget about thriving. We're so busy surviving economically, emotionally, spiritually, financially during this pandemic. The last thing we want is to say, I pour my heart and soul into this. It's almost costing my relationship with my kids, with the mother of my kids. And now we're going to let somebody be our first employee. That person has to be bringing something. You had to elevate us, which you did, Queen. So we're blessed and highly favored to have you with us.
Thank you.
I want to touch on because this is our last part of the segment. And before we leave, you touched on something that I think is so important, Abby. I always say that marginalized entrepreneurs or said marginalized entrepreneurs need to move from consumers to producers, right? We have 100%. To stop being in this cotton picking, and I think it goes back to our enslavement days and so on and so forth. We have to move from consumers to producers. And what I'm hearing when you're talking about pivots is, because you could have just said, hey, let's just bankrupt the company and start over. Because a lot of people did that, let's face it, right? What was how did you make that pivot? Because you touched on making the pivot, but how did you make that pivot? Did you say to yourself once the whole economy shut down and Trudeau, I remember it was March 15, 2020. He said, we're shutting down for a month and turned into 2 months. Next thing you know, 3 months. And you said you were closed half the year.
Yeah.
So do you remember, and could you paint a picture? Were you crying? Were you sad? Were you anxious? Were you looking on YouTube? Walk us through you making that pivot.
I arrived March 16th because I actually went back to Austria and my grandmother turned 90. So
shout out to Queen Grandma. Queen Matriarch.
I came back and I couldn't even participate in my team meeting, reassuring my team, we're all going to be fine. We got each other. We were FaceTiming, creating a team meeting, me on FaceTime, because I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. Yeah. And we had to make all of those decisions like that were about to come up. Yeah. And we realized it was the same. We closed on March 19th. People started feeling very uncomfortable. Clients came in feeling very scared. And my staff felt scared. So that's reason enough to say, okay, let's close this down. The picture that day when I knew I had to lay off 21 employees, I can still cry. It was such a impactful day for me because I literally saw everything I worked for 8 years crumble within moments, right? And my responsibility towards those people, they have put their faith in me. Yeah. They have trusted me with their life project, with my vision, and me being the pilot of that vision. And then realizing, well, I might think I'm the pilot of my little, UFO, but actually it's tiny, tiny, tiny in this huge pond of this universe, of this planet, and everything is shutting down. So your powerlessness, being confronted with your powerlessness, being confronted with your adaptability, and also taking the time to just mourn. Like I remember I took a couple of days to just feel those feelings. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to move on, right? So, okay, this is a new scenario. How can we move to the next step? I do have to say that pivoting is much easier when you have long-term visions from the start.
Yep.
So you already had them,
True.
When your company already had values and a team culture. If you already have team meetings set up and your whole team is trained to meditate together, to pray together, to come together, right? We've been having that. We've been doing that. To affirm each other that we are strong, that we come from a long and strong lineage of kings and queens. We do this at team meeting, right? So those are the things that make, obviously, pivoting and sustaining in a crisis much easier,
smoother,
right? We've already invested in our online space, in our online boutique, in our e-commerce, made very, very little money, very little difference, but it was there, it was set up. So now we were able to transfer all of our focus onto that. I bought a company out 2 years before, that now started to really pay off. We created our own formulations for over 3 years of formulating with the thousands of people that we have, taken care of their hair, all of these different curl types. We've created our own formula and our own hair care brand. So now is the time when my margin is not only 20%, 40%, it becomes 70% because I became a producer. And this is when it becomes interesting because it opens new ways. Oh my God. Amazing. And it's exciting, because you find new ways of how to serve your community and how you can have direct access, talk to your lab. You can become more flexible and spontaneous when you're in control of the production.
That's it.
So many of our suppliers didn't have any jars. Everything from China was completely blocked. Raw materials,
everything
not
closed.
able to get. We had inventory, we had stock. So even if none of the others were able to supply, I got me, right? So we were able to have that and to, kind of build initiatives.
That's such a good point because I think a lot of time also Black entrepreneurs stay in what's called client-facing spaces.
Yes.
If you look at macroeconomics, we're in the sale and retail, but we're rarely in the production, distribution, and let alone the data and technology aspect of things. Before we leave, this last segment. This was really an amazing podcast, actually. This is really good. We're going to start with you. So, in this podcast, we have a segment called 30 Seconds Elevator Pitch. And literally, we're going to time y'all. So y'all can.
Oh my God.
Yep. So in a 30-second elevator pitch, you have to pitch, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to make a pitch, and with you, Keshia, since you are in charge, Queen, y'all need to know Queen. Follow her on social. She is not just the first employee, but when she says that she actually is curious, she actually touches on social media. She's helping us with the social media strategy. She's doing a whole lot more. We're gonna need another podcast for this. I want you, Keshia, to think who would be the dream person to work with you, ever, dead or alive. Who would you love to work with?
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus
Dead or alive?
Christ. Are you timing me now?
No, not timing you yet. Okay, think about that one. I'm going to Abby.
Yes.
Abby, who would be the dream
Same
person?
thing?
No, the dream person that would invest in INHairITANCE. Who would be the dream investor that you would love to work with, dead or alive? Could be Cleopatra. Could be
very, very hard too.
Who would be the dream investor?
I think I got it.
You got it?
Yeah,
okay, so think about that one, okay?
I think I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to have 30 seconds.
Yes.
I want you to picture this. This person that you want to collaborate with for FACE, and obviously in your mandate, Tiffany's like, yo, Keshia, handle this. We need this person to join us, and you have to make the pitch. All right? Since we're in a confinement, you're in a Zoom. The person's about to lose their reception, and they have 30 seconds before they lose their reception. You got to make the pitch to make them come and work with us, but mainly work with you. All right. So in 30 seconds,
It can be
anybody,
whoever, even
who's
a
the person?
celebrity.
So, yeah, it could be Kim Kardashian, Kanye West.
Okay,
it don't matter.
perfect.
Who would
Okay.
it be?
It would have been Rihanna.
Rihanna. Okay, so I want you to look at me like I'm Rihanna. I know I'm ugly, but you got to visualize that I look like Rihanna.
Like you are
And
Rihanna.
you have to talk to me for 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds because Rihanna's about to go in the elevator at her 5-star hotel and she's doing a Zoom call with you. And this is it. You got to close me on how I'm going to partner up with you in face. All right? So you got
Okay.
30 seconds and I'm going to tell you when there's 5 seconds left. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
So you talk to me like Rihanna. Okay?
And I want Rihanna to work with
You
us.
want me. I'm Rihanna.
Okay, perfect.
Okay?
I
want
want
her
you to
with
work
you and, you and face. Okay?
Perfect.
Ready? Set. It's going to be interesting. Put it up. Yeah? Okay? Go.
Hi, Rihanna.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm great.
Okay, I have to go quick on this one. I'm
Okay.
Keshia Aristide,
Yep.
a black female, especially Caribbean girl, just like
Yes,
you.
yes.
We're the same, you know. It's the gang. I need you to come with me and work with Face.
Why?
We need to make magic.
Okay.
We need to blow this thing up and have black people come and work with us because we're building generational wealth. And what are we going to do? We're going to create jobs, opportunities, and I need you to come because you've been killing it, and I need you.
Hey! Oh! I think I'm going. I think I'm not even getting that elevator. I'm like missing the elevator. I'm gonna wait for the next one. Keshia, I think you just convinced Rihanna to go. She's
Good.
definitely joining Face now. Hey, I'm happy about that collab.
Face Fenty.
Look at her. Face Fenty.
Fenty face.
Oh my God,
Watch this happen. So who would be, Abby, who would be your dream investor that would inject massive capital and then ultimately become your partner at your business?
Solange Knowles.
Solange Knowles. I love Solange. I love when she stepped up for her sister and defended. I don't know what happened, but that elevator video was awesome. So Solange Knowles, sister of Beyonce, and queen, spiritual, and goddess for sure.
Wow.
All right, so 30 seconds. So same scenario. Solange about to get in a tunnel. She's driving. Her driver's driving her, and she's in the back of the car on the Zoom. She's listening to you. I'm Solange. I know I'm ugly. Picture Solange. All right, ready, set, go.
Solange, I think we would make an excellent team of collaboration. Why? Because the way you have created a completely discursive narrative that is so different from mainstream, but still acts as mainstream, has really proved me that we have similar values. Inheritance is all that you are. We are here to create self-esteem, trust into natural brands, products that are completely toxic-free, that are only naturally based, but also empower women to be their natural selves, just like you. I think it would be amazing.
Ooh, get that money! Oh, get that money! I think Solange just dropped that bag right then and there. Listen, this is all the time we had. I wish we had more. Abisara, thank you so much. How can we find you and your brand? Plug everything you need to plug, Queen.
Absolutely. You can find us on Insta, on Facebook on INHairITANCE. INHairITANCE is written with hair inside, so INHAIR. INHairITANCE, and on Instagram, INHairITANCE Can for Canada. You find us everywhere. You find us also on inheritance.ca. You can book online. We have all of the best natural products online for you and serve you in every way possible.
Keshia, where can we find you and the brand that you rep today?
I'm on Instagram as KeshiaKimberly.va. And also on LinkedIn. You need to follow me on LinkedIn.
She's amazing.
Thierry told me I have to to boost my
She's
LinkedIn.
Great.
My name, Keshia Aristide.
Awesome. So that is the episode. Today's episode, beautiful people. I would like to thank our listeners first and foremost. We love y'all for your time, and more importantly, our guests, Abisara and Keshia. We love y'all as well. Your contribution to this show is not even quantifiable. Look out for our next episode. Like, share, follow, subscribe to TOC Podcast on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and wherever you consume your favorite podcast. Check out our website and the website of our partner at facecoalition.com, because this is the Other Canada Podcast, TOC Podcast, but it is an extension of the Face family brand. If you'd like to be featured on the show, send us your requests at toc@facecoalition.com. Sponsors, stay tuned for the launch of the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Program. It's gonna happen before the end of the month. We're a couple of days literally from the launch. Application will be opening via Face's website at face.facecoalition.com. Follow us on social media at facecoalition.com. My name is Thierry Lindor, and I was your host. It was an honor to be with you today. Make sure to join our movement and follow me on social media as well. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Until next time, stay blessed and highly favored. Hey-oh!